and then we are going to have for the next speakers for the opening session that we welcome Mr. Chris Strong as a CEO from Investment FIJI. Please, for the Chris Strong. Mr. Chris Strong, Investment FIJI, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Oleh Mr. to everyone, very warm Fijian and Pacific greetings from Suva. It's the afternoon here, and it's an honor to be with you all for the next few hours. Whilst all protocols have been observed, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge my friend, His Excellency, Ben. Thank you very much for your hospitality on Monday. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And I think also we have His Excellency as well, the Honourable Avlok Maharaj, who has joined. He's a member of the Fijian government and also a very well-established business practitioner in the pharmaceutical space, and one of the Fijian Indonesians, Aussie, I can see him there, who's been in operation and business in Fiji for a number of years. Welcome, and good to see you today. What I thought I would do is just follow on from the presentation by Ben, and just a bit of a scene setter on Fiji. I think it's important that we try and provide some context where Fiji is, what we are good at, and what the opportunities are for Indonesian businesses, particularly in the pharmaceutical, medical, and overall healthcare space. So with your indulgence, I too will take you through a small presentation, and hopefully that will provide a bit more insight to shape as a foundation the conversation for this morning's session. Thank you very much. And again, I'll just introduce Investment FIJI, who we are. So Investment FIJI, we are the marketing and business development arm of the Fijian government. We really, our core purpose of being, we've got two key roles, and that is to increase the success of Fijian businesses globally through trade, and to grow investments to match high value capital investment, whether that be financial capital, technological capital, intellectual capital, scientific capital investment with Fijian businesses and other project opportunities. Again, I just want to follow what Ambassador Ben has said. Just Fiji in context, you can see where we sit. We sit right in the heart of the Southwest Pacific. We couldn't be better geographically placed for a trading and or manufacturing hub. We are only 2 hours flight time from Fiji down to New Zealand. We're about 3 to Australia. We're about 11 into the US. So we've got really good air connectivity. To give a perspective, Tonga, who's our closest neighbor in the Pacific Island family, is only less than a day's sailing to the east of us in Suva, and Vanuatu to the west. So whilst we're one big blue continent, we have a number of islands that surround us. As Ambassador said, it's great that you're looking to explore further afield from the ASEAN family of nations. Here we have the Pacific Island Forum of Nations, and that secretariat is based here in Suva, which again I think reinforces the geographical importance that Fiji places in the whole Pacific family. We have, in terms of, just to give you a bit of a feel for our air and our shipping connectivity, we have, when we're normal, we have daily flights into Australia, into New Zealand, into China through Hong Kong, into Los Angeles, into San Francisco, into Hawaii, and right throughout the Pacific. So you've got good connectivity in terms of air connectivity. We also are very strong shipping-wise. We have, I think, so every 2 weeks there's vessels coming down through the Southeast Asia line, starting whether it's a CMA, CGM service or a Swire service. So when you set up your operation in Fiji, drawing raw materials out of Southeast Asia is not an issue in terms of logistics. So we've got the Southeast Asian lines coming through, North Asian lines coming through to Fiji, and then bouncing out of Fiji into the wider Polynesian, Melanesian network. So from a shipping and logistics perspective, we are very, very well connected. We have the West Coast North America service going up into the United States. So we are well served. That service. It's not a barrier. In fact, it's one of the advantages of looking at Fiji as a destination for business. Just reinforcing, you have seen the slide. We are a very, very small population in context to our friends in Indonesia. But just, there's two key things that are probably if you're looking at an investment business model and looking at a return on investment model for a country like Fiji, we have a very young population. So close to 50% of our population are under the age of 25. So you've got a young and a highly educated population that can input into your business model and grow that opportunity over the next 15 to 20 years. So that's something that should be. I think it's always something that we're excited to tell our economic partners of what we can offer as a country. Look. Again, it's just this is a really quick overview of what we are sending to you in Indonesia and what we're bringing in from Indonesia, and this was pretty well covered by His Excellency Ben. But I think the opportunity that we're talking about today is something that this market is underserviced in Fiji, and this is why I think today is a very, very good starting block to see how we can explore and facilitate the growth of this opportunity over the coming years. Again, this is just some very high-level advantages of why it makes sense to be here in Fiji. Whilst we only have less than 1 million people, we have access to Pan-Pacific markets, and as Ambassador said, we are party to a number of free trade of FTAs, free trade agreements, which allows for those flow of products. We have a very low corporate tax rate. I've talked to you about shipping and air connectivity. That really isn't an issue for us. We've got really good IT connectivity. The Southern Cross cable that connects to Australia and New Zealand branches through Fiji. So we in terms of another sector that we're growing here is in the business process outsourcing and ITC. Digital economy sector because of our connectivity, and we can feed into that because we've got a well-educated workforce, a very, very high literacy rate. Like Indonesia, we have a number of special economic zones or tax-free zones and a number of duty exemptions. Just a very quick overview of the current status of Fiji's pharmaceutical industry, and maybe during the Q&A somewhere we've got the Honourable Albert Maharaj. He can maybe talk a bit more in detail about a practitioner's perspective, but this should give you a bit of an overview. We're basically a net importer of pharmaceutical products. We only have one licensed manufacturer here who is quite a successful manufacturer, and we have a number of wholesale distributors. So there's a number of opportunities in terms of how you want to look at where you want to sit in the value chain of your pharmaceutical or medical supplies investment in Fiji. One of the things that we are good at in this country is we are good at manufacturing. We are very good at manufacturing in short-run, high-value products. And if you look at I know Ambassador Ben talked a bit about it. Look, for example, in terms of the textile industry. Where we've repositioned ourselves is that we have kind of high fashion brands that are manufactured in here in Fiji, like the Kukai label, with stores throughout the world, but that's high-end fashion that is manufactured here. Obviously, Fiji water. We've got things in terms of our marine space. We've got J Hunter pearls. We've got Pure Fiji. We've got a manufacturer in here in Fiji who are the biggest supplier of life jackets and flotation devices into Australia and New Zealand. So you can see that in Fiji, what we are good at is in this specialist manufacturing space. In terms of opportunities, you can see the imports, and while that probably doesn't calculate to a high opportunity in terms of what our Indonesian friends who are present today, and particularly in some of their market sizes and what they're talking about. What it does do is allow you to bounce into other markets from Fiji. In terms of our two main kind of how we segment the market, obviously in the public sector, we've got the Fiji Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Services, and in private sector, you've got manufacturers, importers, wholesalers, and retailers in that value chain. Where the government is currently offering up to 13 years tax holiday for manufacturers, for pharmaceutical manufacturing. But one thing that's good about Fiji is we realize that not one size fits all. So if you're looking at coming to Fiji and developing, it doesn't matter where in the value chain you want to sit. Investment Fiji are here to take you on that journey to make sure at the end of the day, the investment makes sense for you and it makes sense for ourselves as a country. Just quickly, I'll show you a bit of an example of Douglas Pharmaceuticals. So they're New Zealand, headquartered in New Zealand, but have a manufacturing operation here in Fiji. They started here some 21 years ago. They are New Zealand's largest pharmaceutical company. The majority of what they're producing here, they are exporting out of Fiji. Just under 100 staff, but they've formed a partnership with a local kava supplier called Takimai, who's been listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, to produce pharmaceutical grade kava powder and capsules. So you can see the type of kind of specialist high-end manufacturing that Fiji can get to in this space. Just very quickly, I won't bore you with the details of some of the policies, but this is something that my colleague can probably talk a bit more about when we get a bit deeper into the conversation. But obviously there's committees, there's registrations that have to take place. There is some price control on pharmaceutical products. There's some licensing that's required, and quality assurance. But that's all stuff that we can dig a bit deeper in detail with individual interested parties after this session. And just to reflect again that Investment Fiji, we are here to match the high value investment with Fijian businesses' opportunities. As I said at the start, this whole space in terms of pharmaceutical, in terms of medical supplies, and in fact the healthcare space fits strategically in where, from an infrastructural perspective, where Fiji's wanting to go. We've seen, apart from the supply of pharmaceutical and medical supplies, we are wanting to strengthen our infrastructure in terms of healthcare as we rebound post-COVID, so that we can obviously provide a differential in the marketplace for some of our tourism offers by providing a retirement offer here in Fiji, and a medical offer in terms of our tourism as well. So that concludes the very, very quick overview on the exciting opportunities that exist here in Fiji for pharmaceutical medical supplies and in this space. I will now, firstly, I haven't introduced my colleague, Mr. Kamal Chetty, who has traveled to Indonesia on numerous occasions and tells me he's fluent in Bahasa, so that's good. So any questions you want to fire at him, he's very knowledgeable. And so he can guide us through some of the more technical things if required. But with that, I'll pass you back to Tito. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and we look forward to sitting in on this journey for the rest of today. Vinata, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris Strong from the Investment Fiji, as a CEO of Investment Fiji. The presentation is very good. It looks like the Fiji is a hub and fully digital, the infrastructure of ICT over there, and as the human labor, also very much young generation, very productive generation.